Hey guys, check it out. This is LP's brand new 8-inch brass Cuica, and I really like this drum. This drum has some great features like top tuning, a solid brass shell, and a really well-made pre-mounted head. That's important when you're playing Cuica because sooner or later you may break the stick inside the drum. If you do, you swap out the head and you're good to go. Now today I want to focus on playing techniques for the Cuica, and the first thing I want to talk about is the playing position. Now I've seen some people positioning the drum sideways like this and applying pressure to the head with their thumb. I want to discourage this playing position. This will only increase your chances of breaking the stick inside the drum and also really limit your playing ability. Now the proper position for the Cuica is with the head facing forward, so the head's going to be facing away from you and your non-dominant hand for now just rested on the drum. Now your dominant hand is going to be stroking the stick back and forth with a wet piece of cloth. Now I've seen all sorts of materials being used. You can use terry cloth, you can use linen. I've seen all sorts of things. For me, when I'm using cloth, terry cloth works fine. Now you're going to want to cut your terry cloth in a 3-inch square, right? And then what you're going to do is you're going to want to wet it. So I've seen all sorts of liquids being used, milk, beer, putting rosin on it, you know, it's all unnecessary. Just plain water works great. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your cloth, you're going to wet it, but you don't want it too wet and you don't want it too dry. So I suggest soaking your cloth and then wringing out some of the water, but not all of it. Leave it to where you can still wring out a few drops, and if that works for you, you're good to go. So take your cloth and you're going to go ahead and fold your wet cloth and fold it in half. Then you're going to fold it in half again. And this fold right here, this is where your stick is going to lay. So I have a pre-mounted head here so you can see what the inside of your Cuica looks like, right? That's the stick tied to the head. So you're going to take your cloth and you're going to wrap it around the stick like this. And then you're going to hold it between your thumb and your forefinger, right? And you're going to be stroking the stick back and forth this way, and you're going to want to apply some pressure to the stick. So you're basically going to want to pinch the stick. Now I want to share a secret with you I learned in Brazil many years ago. I play with a sponge. So here in the States, if you want to try using a sponge, go find yourself a pack of doobies, right? So get yourself some doobies, and when you take the doobie out of the bag, it's going to look like this. Right? And this is you want to cut off this border here all along the edge, and you're going to want to remove this netting that's on the doobie. And what you're going to end up with is this really nice flat piece of natural sponge. Now I cut my sponges into 2-inch square, right? And the moisture applies to the sponge is the same as the cloth, not too wet, not too dry. Now I want to explain why this playing position is so important. This playing position will give you a really straight line between your hand and your elbow, because when you're stroking the stick, you just want to make this movement. No lateral movement, no up and down movement, straight forward and back. So what you're going to do now is you're going to grab your cloth or your wet sponge, your wet cloth, and you're going to go ahead and wrap it around the stick inside. Now, like I said, if you're just starting out, I would not apply any pressure at all and play the drum wide open so you don't have any hands or anything on the head. And just start stroking the stick, and as you do, gradually increase your pinch on the stick until you get a nice even tone like this. Right? And once you do that, we're going to move on to applying pressure to the head and changing the pitch of the drum. So what you're going to do basically is you're going to use these 3 fingers, and you're going to use your fingertips. So short nails are a must when you're playing Cuica. Now you're going to take your fingers and you're going to put them next to this object. And I'm going to refer to this as the bead. And this is what the bead is. This is the head again. Now the bead is just the top of the stick that's tied to the head, right? So you want to keep away from touching the bead. Once you do, the stick will stop vibrating and you'll have no sound. So go ahead and place your 3 fingers as close to the bead as possible, and you're going to want to apply some pressure. So you're going to want to basically push in towards yourself. Now as you do it and pull the stick, this will be your highest note. right? Now what you're going to do to get your second highest note is you're going to remove your middle finger. So let's place all 3 fingers next to the bead, remove that middle finger and pull the stick. That should be your second note. Now to obtain your third note, you can do this playing the drum wide open. But if you're just starting out, I would suggest leaving this third finger on the drum, because if you do that, you're always going to have a reference point of where your hand is on the head. So go ahead and release these 2 fingers, leave that little finger on there, and you're going to get your lowest note. Right? So I would suggest practicing this by using the backward and forward stroke and using all 3 finger positions. Right? Now you can also obtain some higher notes by using more pressure against the head. So if you leave all 3 fingers down, you're going to get some higher notes. Now you're going to see some variations of these techniques, but you know what? If you learn what I've just been teaching you, you're going to have a really good foundation to build on. And I'd like to leave you with one last thought. Whenever you're having a bad day and you're feeling really, really sad, just grab your LP Cuica, start playing, and before you know it, you're going to have a smile on your face. Oops. Pardon me.